The war at Kurukshetra had finally ended. Kings were dead, dynasties had fallen, and after 18 days of unimaginable bloodshed, it seemed there was nothing left to destroy. Then, one man reached for a weapon that was never meant to be used. A weapon so terrifying that even the greatest warriors feared its use. A weapon said to bring devastation on a scale no army could match. When he unleashed it, another warrior was forced to do the same. And suddenly, the fate of the world depended on whether two men could stop what they had started. Except one of them couldn't, because the weapon was the Brahmastra. And according to the Mahabharata, once unleashed, it was almost impossible to stop. Most weapons in the Mahabharata were exactly what you'd expect: bows, swords, and spears. But astras were different. An astra wasn't simply a weapon, it was divine knowledge, a sacred power granted by the gods, activated through mantras, and channeled through ordinary weapons. And some astras were so dangerous that possessing them was considered safer than using them. One of the most terrifying examples was the Narayanastra. When Ashwatthama unleashed it against the Pandavas, panic spread across the battlefield. This wasn't a weapon that simply attacked, it hunted. The more resistance it encountered, the stronger it became. Arrows filled the sky, soldiers fell by the thousands, entire formations collapsed beneath its assault. Then, Sri Krishna gave an order that sounded completely absurd. Lower your weapons, stop fighting, surrender. The warriors who obeyed survived. The ones who resisted were annihilated. It may perhaps be the only weapon in Mahabharata whose countermeasure was complete submission. If Narayanastra punished resistance, the Agneyastra punished entire armies. Associated with Agni, the god of fire, it was said to engulf battlefields in inferno so vast that soldiers fled before the flames ever reached them. Ancient descriptions speak of burning skies and walls of fire stretching across the horizon. Yet, even this weapon had a counter: the Varunastra, fire against water, destruction balanced by destruction. Then there was the Pashupatastra, granted directly by Lord Shiva to Arjuna after intense penance. Ancient texts describe it as a weapon said to be capable of destroying virtually any enemy, human, celestial, or demonic. So absolute that the texts themselves forbade its use against mortals. Few astras inspired more fear. Yet, despite possessing it, Arjun never used it during the war at Kurukshetra. Perhaps that's what makes it so fascinating. Its power wasn't demonstrated, its power was feared. Even in a war that claimed millions of lives, some weapons were still considered too dangerous to unleash. And finally, the Brahmashirsha Astra, the most infamous astra in the Mahabharata. After the war, consumed by grief and rage, Ashwatthama invoked it against the Pandavas. To stop it, Arjun was forced to release a Brahmastra of his own. Suddenly, two of the most destructive weapons in existence were on a collision course. The sages intervened and ordered both warriors to withdraw their weapons. Arjun succeeded. Ashwatthama could not. He knew how to unleash the weapon, but not how to recall it. So he did something unthinkable. He redirected it at the womb of Uttara, carrying the last heir of the Pandav line, the unborn Parikshit. It would take Sri Krishna himself to intervene and save the child, and Ashwatthama would be cursed to wander the earth forever, wounded, alone, and unable to die. The most frightening thing about the astras of the Mahabharata wasn't their power. Every culture imagines powerful weapons. What makes these different is that the epic repeatedly warns against using them. Again and again, the greatest warriors are remembered not for unleashing these weapons, but for showing the restraint not to. Because the Mahabharata suggests that ultimate power was never the real test, wisdom was. Like and subscribe to Vault 42 Unlocked, because some stories aren't legends, their warnings.